We are up.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Well, hey everybody,
Hi.
Hey, it's Fran Morgan.
and John Mossel with Fabric Café.
And we have Hannah behind the scenes. She is going to be following live on Facebook there, watching for your questions. And she's going to be feeding the questions as they come in.
I'll be watching on YouTube too.
That's great. And so we have a few questions that have come in ahead of time that we're going to address. And then we're also going to be watching for our live questions. So we are going to try to answer just as many as we can.
Exactly. So howdy to a few folks that have already signed in. We got Diana there, and we've got several others that are coming in. So welcome. And if you do have questions, just post it down there in the comments, and we will get to those if we are able to with the time permitting. So we've got a lot that's going to be happening. We're going to be talking about and hopefully answering some of your great questions today.
Yeah, that's great. So Hannah, what's our first question?
Alrighty. Well, our first question, which is kind of a general thing that everyone's been wanting to know, where's Donna?
Yeah, where is Mom? Well, she's, has two wonderful kids, and no, actually, she is actually starting to retire a little bit, so she's not in the office as much, but she's focusing on what's really important to her, and that's designing new stuff. So she's actually been sitting at her house and designing a new book.
Yes, we're very excited.
A little teaser there for you. And, so she's doing a lot of that, and, we've got a great team here at Fabric Cafe, and she's done a great job at training Fran and I of really how to run the business. And, we're handling all of the day-to-day operations while she's sitting at home trying to figure out how can we figure out another awesome design with 3 yards of fabric.
That's right. So I think that Mom has a beautiful lake house, so she gets to design there, which is great. She also loves to be on video, so she will continue to be on the videos, which I think is wonderful. And John and I, only siblings here. We don't have any other siblings besides the two of us. Of course, we're always adopting new people, so please.
Yeah, so, our Fabric Cafe family, all of you out there on the internet, we love to be talking with you and sharing stories with you and everything. I think a great way to be able to really get into our family is sign up for our newsletter.
Oh, great idea.
Go to our homepage on Fabric Cafe, scroll down to the bottom, and there's a spot to sign up for our email newsletter there. And, it's a great way to keep up with what's happening in the family here at Fabric Cafe.
And we are going to be at Houston Quilt Festival in the first week in November, I believe.
That is correct.
November 3rd through 6th.
November 3rd through 6th. Thank you, Hannah. So we would also love to meet you there. So if you're planning on attending that, be sure and come joining us.
Mm-hmm. Going from that question, Rita on Facebook would like to know, are we going to be at the Wisconsin Quilt Show in September?
Okay, so Rita asked if we're going to be at Wisconsin in September, and we are not planning on doing that show at this time.
Yeah.
So we're kind of having to make some tough decisions on where we need to be and if we're going to keep videoing and things like that. So we miss you so much when we don't get to go.
Next question. Y'all ready for your next one?
Yes, please.
All right. Fran, this one's for you. Donna from YouTube would like to know, how do you choose the entries for Matchmaker? I have something to submit, but wondered how likely I was to be chosen.
Ooh, fun question.
Wonderful. Thank you, Donna, for your question. Matchmaker is probably my favorite baby that I get to work on. And I have several favorites, but it is definitely one of my fun projects that I get to do. Now, I try to get every single submission on Matchmaker. So if you send in a fabric swatch and a story, I am going to do my very best to include it. Now, Matchmaker is a little bit of a process, so let me just explain that a little bit. Whenever I get a swatch in, I start shopping, and the first thing I do is shop our stash here in our shop to see if I can find anything that matches, and then I start scanning the web to see if I can find anything that is the perfect substitution. because not only do I want to match your fabric swatch, I want to give all the rest of our viewers something really wonderful that matches. Sometimes that's a really quick process and I can find something right away. Sometimes it takes just a little bit, whether I'm not finding something I just love, or sometimes I have to order it and it has a little bit of a lead time. So just bear with me. So if you've sent something in, please just give me some time. It's coming, I promise. And I think that if you send something in, it is very likely that it will be on Matchmaker. Now, if you do want to submit, be sure to go to our website and go to the free goodies tab on our website, and the submission form is there. Be sure to include all of the information with your fabric swatch and give us a really good story, because I like those stories. I like to hear the background of the fabric. Why did you purchase it? If it attracted you and you bought it and there was like no apparent project that you were going to do, still tell me why it like appealed to you, because I think those things as fabric lovers ourselves are really important.
Well, and that story helps give you some inspiration to be able to create a kit
Yeah.
that's going to be something that you would like.
Right.
And, you know, so it's a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, I love it. So please, I would love to see your fabric swatch, and I'm going to get it on there.
We actually have another matchmaker question
Oh,
that just
great.
came in from Faith on YouTube.
Hey, Faith.
And Faith asks, I have a fabric that has a large print that with a wide repeat. She wants to send it to Matchmaker, but a swatch less than a yard won't represent it properly. How much should I send?
Ooh.
That is an excellent question, Faith. Thank you. I need enough, I need enough fabric so that whenever I take a photo of the fabric, I can do the electronic image and actually get enough so that it is a proper representation of the fabric. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if it's too small of a square, then we don't get a really good feel of what it's going to look like and how the repeat is. So once you're included on Matchmaker, if you do send me a larger swatch, I will do my very best to get it back to you.
Awesome. All right. John, we got a question for you. Diana from YouTube is wondering, what do you recommend for the best long-lasting batting? Some quilters swear by 100% cotton. Others say a cotton poly blend is best. So how would you help a newbie quilter?
And who was that again?
That's Diana.
Okay, well, Diana, you know, we actually get this question a lot through our emails and other forms of communication. And, you know, we actually use just a warm and natural batting here. It's a 100% cotton batting. And, you know, it's a really nice, thin, lightweight, because after all, we are in Texas, and it is, a nice, balmy 100 degrees here today. Not that we're going to be snuggling up with the quilt, but it's a nice, breathable, natural,
Yes.
and very long-lasting and pretty rugged. So if, you know, one of the great things about our 3-yard quilts is that, you know, they're great to be able to just throw in the washing machine, wash them, reuse, you know, just have a long life of those. It's just an everyday type quilt. And, you know, so you can be looking at that warm and natural. That's a really nice option. There are definitely poly options that you can use. So if maybe you've got some allergies or different things along those lines, you know, you can look at some of those different battings. And of course, you know, depending on your climate, maybe you want to look at something that's a little bit thicker to, you know, keep you warm and snuggly in Minnesota during February when it's not getting above freezing. You know, so there's plenty of options with that. So, you know, kind of find what you work. And lastly, I would say talk to who's going to be doing your long arm work. You know, find out what batting is going to be best for them. You know, maybe they've got some preferences and choices that would be a great solution for you.
Yeah. And I don't know about you guys, but we love our quilts, and we love our quilts to be loved on. So long wearing is definitely something that's in the picture here.
Definitely.
And that is actually a wonderful segue into our next question, which comes from Rebecca from Facebook. Fran, how about you take this one? How do you care for your quilts after they are made? Do you wash them in cold water, hot, or do you put them in the dryer or dry them in the sun?
Oh, excellent question,
Nice.
Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining us. I prefer to wash my quilts on cold, just to kind of keep them longer wearing, I think is part of what it is. Now, I have a washer at my house that does not have a center agitator, so I think that that also helps for the washing and keeping it longer lasting. So on cold, I always dry them in the dryer on low, and I don't always dry them all the way. I usually will lay them out just a little bit while they're still just a ooch damp, not a whole lot, just to kind of help with that, because I know the drying process sometimes wears them out the most, actually.
Right.
So,
And, and also depending on the size. So, if you're just talking about a lap quilt, you could probably do that in your home machine, but you may have to actually go down to a laundromat and use one of their bigger machines.
right.
A lot of times they're starting to have those front load machines in them that don't have a center agitator in them, so it'd be great for, a twin or even up into the queen king size.
Right, right. But I do wash my quilts often because we use them. We have them on our sofas for TV night or whatever movie night, and I do wash them quite frequently. So that's pretty much how I do that. Thanks for your question, Rebecca.
Okay, we just got one in from Heather. Heather wonders, Fran, will you be coming out with more fabrics for your Fat Quarter book?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm sorry, did you say Heather?
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Heather. Thanks for joining us. More fabrics for my Fat Quarter book. Well, actually, we are not in the moment planning on that. However,
Tease.
we have another project coming up very soon, and we are going to have some new Fat Quarter bundles. So be watching for that.
Awesome. We're getting some great questions coming in. I apologize for all those watching if there's a little bit of a lag, because I am watching your questions coming in.
And we appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, let's get another one in here from Nana's Legacy. She says, I have been meaning to ask about why you don't sell designer fabrics, for example, Moda or Kaffe.
Okay, why we don't sell designer fabrics like Moda or Kaffe? Actually, we do have quite a few Moda and Kaffe fabrics in our lineup. We don't always identify them as such. But we definitely do. I know Moda is one that we use a lot of, and we love the quality of their fabric. So, and I know that we have quite a stash of Kaffe that we just keep using because the
If we
colors,
could turn the camera, we have a whole section on the wall right there.
the colors are amazing.
Yeah, that last line he did of all of those flower prints, that the flowers are this big and it just, the colors just pop on that. So yeah, we are selling a lot of, very popular designers. I mean,
Right.
so we've definitely got a number of them up there. In fact, I think if you go up to our kit section, you can actually sort by Kaffe.
Oh, perfect.
So you can actually go up there and see some of those Kaffe fabrics there, or even just go up in the top right-hand corner of our website and just type in Kaffe, and it'll bring up a lot of information relating to Kaffe.
Yep, perfect. And we love good quality fabrics. So
Definitely.
even some of the other fabric manufacturers make some really excellent fabrics. So.
Awesome. John, Holly Palmer wanted to know, what do you do with all your beautiful quilts? Do you donate them to a charity?
Oh, great question, Holly. Well, we actually do. We donate several dozen quilts each year to some of the local charities here in Tyler, Texas. And also we even put a lot of the models up online, both in our Etsy store and on the fabriccafe.com website, where you can go up and look at those finished quilts and find them there. So there's a lot of great opportunities up there. Keep watching, because later on this year we've got a little plan happening with that, where we're going to do a campaign kind of pushing around that, because we're needing to kind of do a little house cleaning, because we make a lot of models each year. I mean, I think we were discussing the other day, we're doing like 50 this year.
Oh my, no, we're more than that.
More than that?
Probably.
Okay.
It seems like, well, it feels like a lot actually, but we do have quite a few quilt models. Some of them are made with some older fabrics, and so we're thinking about calling some of those out and hopefully get some of those up online before Christmas.
Exactly. So great question, Holly.
Here's another question that came in from Catherine. Would you consider a Facebook Fabric Café group where people could share 3-yard quilts they are working on so we could see all the wonderful fabric combinations people have chosen?
Oh,
Well, that's a really fun idea. We've actually looked at the groups a couple of times in the past, and I think our biggest challenge is for us to be able to manage it.
right.
It does take us a considerable amount of time. I mean, we have a person that's almost full-time just doing nothing but managing all of our social media sites. And, you know, that does take a little extra time there, but we'll discuss it a little bit more. That's because I like the twist that you've got on that, on being able to share and talk about the projects that you have going on. So what a great way to even, you know, make that part of being in the Fabric Cafe family.
Love that idea. If that is of interest to the rest of you, also give us a comment and let us know if that is something that you would like as well.
Oh,
And we'll
definitely.
certainly consider that.
Okay. Fran, we have a specific one for you.
Okay.
Michelle would like to know, what type of thread do you prefer to sew with?
Michelle, thank you. I love Metler. I have been a Metler fan for many, many years, and I am using a poly. I think their colors are great. I think it's a strong thread, and it just always seems to be my go-to.
Yeah, I'll even throw in there, I love Metler thread. I mean, it's really, it goes through the fabric nice and easy, and especially when you're hand binding.
Yes.
That's a great time to have a really nice, strong, smooth thread.
And there's a lot of great threads out there. So I think that I was introduced to Metler whenever I very first started quilting, my goodness, 30 years ago or however long it's been. And I kind of, you know, once you buy it once and you love the brand, you just keep going and you never try anything else. And that kind of, I love Metler though, so I've never switched from that. But there are lots of great threads out there.
Elizabeth would like to know, do you press seams to side or open? And also, do you use sizing?
Ooh, fun question.
Now that seems controversial. Who asked that?
That was Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, thank you so much. I love it. Well,
Yes. We've actually done a couple of videos of that on YouTube, and it's really kind of that personal choice of what looks good for you. I mean, there are certain situations where you're going to want to press to the side, especially where you've got a lot of intersections of your seams coming together. Or, you know, maybe you've got light, a real extreme light and an extreme dark, so you're going to probably want to press to the dark side there. And it's, you know, really just kind of a preference of what you're wanting to do. So
I will tell you this. So like I said, I've been quilting a very, very long time. And whenever I first started sewing, my grandmother taught me how to garment sew first. And I learned whenever I was like 7 or 8 years old, very, very young. I always pressed my seams open whenever I was garment sewing. So whenever I learned how to quilt, the first thing I did was press my seams open.
right.
I didn't learn till later that there was actually a direction you were supposed to press them. And whenever I started trying to do that, I actually didn't like it. I think I was so ingrained into doing open, and it worked for me. What happened to me is I would press them to the dark side, and then I'd go to butt my seams up, and then it messed up. This one needed to go back the other direction, and I'd go back to my iron, and I'd have to move it over, and I was, you know, and I was getting very frustrated. I was a very young quilter and just starting. So I just started pressing open, and I think that at the time it was very controversial, and I didn't really want anybody to know. But now it's like, okay, it's okay, and I still press my seams open.
And hi, I'm John. I still press my seams open too.
So, it's
You
what
know,
we
so
do.
it's really a, you know, kind of a personal preference of what you want.
It really
So,
is. It really is.
you know, play with it, see what works best for you.
Perfect.
John, you show this question comes from Debbie from Facebook.
Hey, Debbie.
You show us in the directions how to make the twin and king/queen size. I would love to see how to make a full size using the 3-yard quilts.
Ooh, I get that question a lot. So this is a fun one because really, a full size is just a few inches bigger than a twin. You know, so there's a couple of different things that you could do. Sure, you could go ahead and you know, get 3 kits, 3 1-yard kits, or 3 1-yard cut, 3, whew, math's hard at this time of the
Yes,
day.
it would be 9 1-yard cuts.
9 1-yard cuts, or 3 yards of 3 different fabrics. And then go ahead and just add extra blocks. You're going to have some extra fabric over, or you could try and use it all and get something a little bit bigger than a full. And you know, have to kind of mess around a little bit to figure out what your borders are going to be and things like that. You know, that's definitely one way to do it. Or there's another great way you could do it, is just go ahead and make that twin and then add a border.
That's what I
Or
would do.
2
Yep.
to get it up to a larger size that you want. In fact, we got a great handout on our website under the free goodies for adding a border. So it walks you through actually figuring out all of the math on, you know, you got to figure out your circumference and then all your inches and all of this fun stuff. So that's really a kind of the option that I encourage people to look at, is just go ahead and add that border.
Yeah.
And that even works great too for even getting into some of those quilts of valor and things like that, to get them up to that size that you need for some of those, you know, charity quilt programs, to just get it up to that size by adding that extra border to it.
I love borders on a quilt. I think it's like the frame on a beautiful piece of art. And that's the easiest way. And I think sometimes when you have really generous borders, it just makes that art piece even more spectacular.
Definitely.
Now we're going back to seams, because Joyce wanted to know, have you asked your long armors what they prefer about the pressing of seams?
Ooh. Well, you did a show with our long armor
And Hannah.
and Hannah.
And Hannah. I know that our long armor has not seemed to mind. Lucinda has never had an issue with it. As long as we go ahead and use a Mary Ellen's Best Press or something like that, make sure that your top is pressed nicely. Once you sandwich that batting and that back together and it's on the long arm machine, it really doesn't make any difference whatsoever.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Fran, Anne from Facebook would like to know, why are the fabrics used in the actual quilt shown in the shows different from what is offered in the kits for sale?
Oh, wow. Anne, that's a great question. Part of the reason for that is, I'm sure most of you are aware that we have a new show every Tuesday and Thursday each week at 4 o'clock. We really make an effort to show between 6 and 8 quilts on every single show. If we were to remake every quilt each time we showed it, it would be quite extensive. We have wonderful stitchers out there. We ship our quilts out all over the place. They make our tops. They come back. We have a couple of long arm quilters that we work with that are amazing. And it just takes a lot of time to get those quilts made. So we don't always do that. Now we do implement some other things in our videos, which we really hope helps you visualize what they're going to look like. One is pieces and parts, which I love because it also really helps show how the block is assembled and put together. The other thing that we've just started doing, and we are trying to do more and more of this, but takes a little bit of time as well, is the quilt images that we're putting up on the screen. We are really trying to help you visualize, but because it does take so much time to get the quilts made, we just can't possibly make everything. And you guys are hungry for great fabrics. So once the kits are gone, and once, you know, because we always have just a limited amount of the kits. So once those are gone, we want to move on and try to get more fabric for that pattern so that it looks great and you've got some choices.
All right, we're getting close to time, so we have time for just a couple more questions.
Thank you.
So this question's been asked for by a few people. They're asking about the new 3-yard quilts for kids book. If
Okay.
they have the original, they're wondering what the difference is between the original and the new one.
Oh, great question. I think one of the biggest things that we did there is we now have enlargements for all 8 of the patterns. in the first edition of the book, there were only, what, 3 enlargements?
I think so, yeah.
Well, and those enlargements were only the twins.
Yes, that's right.
So instead of getting just, what, 8 and 3 is 12.
11.
It's at the end of the day here, 11. You're now actually getting 8 and 3 to 24, 25 different designs or different patterns in that. So it's a much better, it was a lot of work for us to go in and rework all of those. And so that's one of the biggest things that it is.
Definitely. I think one of the other things is here at Fabric Cafe, as we have grown and learned and listened to all of your amazing comments that help us, we have perfected our pattern writing style. Some of our very first books, we were still learning. So now that we've reissued the Quilts for Kids book, the patterns have been rewritten in the most precise style so that the patterns are very, very simple to make.
Exactly.
And it's very important to us that every single one of your projects comes out successfully.
And plus, it also gave us the opportunity to go ahead and give all of those photos in the book a facelift with new available fabrics that we've got out on the market right now. So it's a great deal on being able to pick that up and have that added to your collection.
Perfect.
Okay, now, this is a question a couple people wanted to know. Susan and Anita were wondering, to starch or not to starch? Will starch help prevent fraying? And if so, what to use?
Oh, wow. Susan and Anita,
Fun.
great question. So I starch. Do you starch?
I starch, especially my shirts.
I like Mary Ellen's Best Press, but
Really a good
before, yes, so before that came along, like whenever I first started quilting and was pressing those seams open, I actually used Faultless Spray Starch, and I did it because it gave a lot of body to the fabric. It helped my seams stay pressed open, and spray starch was like, it could make the fabric just a little crispy. Does that make sense? Like it gave it like, it almost made it like paper if you put enough starch
Well, it's
on.
like getting that great shirt from the cleaners, and it's got, that great,
Yeah, it was great.
and plus it just makes your seams look good, and it just,
And it did help with fraying because it does act like a little bit of glue or something. I don't know, I really know how to explain it. Now, there were some issues with starch. It really gummed up your iron. You had to keep your iron clean. It did have a residue on the fabric that kind of was not the most appealing. So now we have Mary Ellen's Best Press, which is fantastic because it doesn't do those things. It doesn't leave that coloration on your fabric. It doesn't gum up your iron. And it still is this nice, really wonderful body that it gives your fabric, and it keeps it from fraying, and I love that.
that's, yeah, I mean, I can just remember those days of your iron being just all nasty and start getting burnt on. You almost just threw it away and got a new iron.
Yes. And you went to press and it left some ugly mark on your fabric, and you're going, oh.
Or you're in a rush to go out to a dinner or something like that, and you're trying to touch up a shirt and goop.
Oh, so yeah, Mary Ellen's is the way to go.
All right, Fran, I got one more question for you. We're gonna have to answer it pretty quick though. But just to our people in the audience, I'm so sorry if we didn't get to your question, but we will get back to them and respond to you in the comments. Let us know if you like today's video, and let us know if this is something you'd like us to do more often.
And, definitely like, subscribe, share, all of that stuff. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, that little bell there. If you're on Facebook, subscribe or like us and share it there with your friends on Facebook. There's a lot of great opportunities there. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, sign up for our newsletter and you'll be able to find out about these things. And you'll be able to catch them whenever it comes out. And here's a cool hit about the newsletter. We put special kits out there on that newsletter just for the people that have that newsletter. So there's some neat advantages there.
So one more question?
All right, last one. Fran, this is for you. Do you have patterns for panels?
Oh, good question. Okay, so we did do one episode of Matchmaker using a 3-yard quilt and panels. That was, I believe, episode 4. Is that right, Hannah?
It is called Treasures from Your Stash.
Treasures from Your Stash was that one. That went really well. So just a little secret, we are working on another video using panels. We've got that in the works and plan. Remember that fabric ordering sometimes takes a little bit of time. But we are working with some great ideas that we've got coming up. So as John mentioned, be sure to subscribe, be sure to sign up for our newsletter, and you will get notified of those types of things.
Definitely.
All right, this was fun.
This was a whole lot of fun.
Yes, we are so grateful that you joined us today, and you all had amazing, amazing questions.
Yeah, thanks for all your input there. It was awesome.
Absolutely, and we learned so much from you guys, and we appreciate it. And we are having a blast, and we want to keep going for a very, very long time. And
Exactly.
It's nice working with your brother.
Thanks, sis.
And Mom.
Yeah, well, when she decides to show up.
We're really grateful.
She's probably watching us right now, so were we okay, Mom?
I'm very grateful that she's been able to design from her lake house and continue to do videos. And we really love that she's being able to take a little bit of slower stuff. So we appreciate it so much. It's Fran Morgan.
And John also with Fabric Café. Have an awesome rest of your day.
Bye-bye.